6:48, your top stories and our Smart Start for Tuesday morning. Later today, the governor will lay out her policy goals and priorities for the year in her State of the State address. Holcomb wants to increase safety around public pools by investing in a grant program worth $60 million to renovate and build new pools in underserved communities, as well as overall around the state expanding swimming programs. When it comes to schools, she wants New York teachers to, quote, get back to basics by having students focus again more on phonics, vocabulary, and comprehension. 5 months after some of the first asylum-seeking families arrived here in Rochester, one of the local groups working with them, Ibero, expects more arrivals. This comes as New York City grapples with a shortage of resources to care for all the asylum seekers going there. The goal here in Rochester, at least according to Ibero, is to help make these families self-sufficient. Part of that focused on finding them apartments. It is a new day. The words spoken by the daughter of 62-year-old Michael Rhines, the man from Rochester who spent 37 years behind bars for the deadly shootings of two men at a bar in 1984. Last month, it was ruled Rhines was wrongfully convicted of murder, in part due to false testimony from two jailhouse informants. A final hearing yesterday in Monroe County Court as Rhines was embraced by his family. Previous appeals were denied over and over again for Rhines until the informants admitted they lied to the district attorney nearly 40 years ago so they could get out of jail early. The final charges in the case were officially tossed yesterday.
Should have never happened in the first place, but it is what it is. We get a second chance. He gets to live his life, enjoy his freedom with his family, and however he chooses to. No felony convictions, no record. It's a new day.
And what are you going to do for the rest of your life, you think?
Take a series of deep breaths.
At the end of the day, after due diligence on the part of my office and myself personally, there's just not enough evidence. There's nothing that we can bring that would be admissible in a court of law that would allow us to move forward with this case.
Enrico Ferrari, the owner of Rico's Bar, was one of the two men killed during the robbery and shooting in '84. Outside court, his granddaughter told us this has been tough for her family with so many unanswered questions to date. She did address Rhines before she was escorted away. As for Rhines, he can pursue legal action against the city and Monroe County. He says for now his focus is to continue reuniting with his family and getting used to what life is on the outside after spending much of his life behind bars for decades. A man arrested for raping a young girl inside a corner store in Rochester is going to prison. Shaddad Al-Gaithi is expected to spend the next 17 years locked up after pleading guilty to rape and weapons charges. He and James Hampton were arrested after police say the two locked the girl inside the store and raped her. This was right across from School 25 in 2022 in that spring. Al-Gaithi was already a registered sex offender from a conviction in 2021. The case going forward against Hampton remains pending. Let's talk about your top weather headlines here with meteorologist James Gilbert. Boy, a lot to follow. You step out this morning, you're wondering what's all this talk about? It's like we've been telling you for days and days. This afternoon when that storm makes it here.
Yep, that's the focus. Is you probably good generally to about 10 or 11 o'clock. Then we get a little bit of snow, a little bit of mix, then some rain. Temperatures are in the mid-30s, so it could be slushy out there, but I don't expect anything to accumulate. Winds just gusting to a casual 40 miles per hour. 3 p.m. to midnight. That's the time frame when we get rain that could be heavy at times. Wind is gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now, 50 is usually under our threshold for concern for outages, but still, winds can do some tricky things, especially once you see those gusts over maybe 55. In some certain spots in the Finger Lakes, and then we should be done by midnight and beyond. We'll take a look at the 8-day forecast at the end of the show. Brennan?
All right, thank you, James. With that wind storm warning and the watches, emergency teams recommend you are prepared, keeping those phones, tablets, chargers, other devices all at full battery ahead of time, and having water supplies, gas filled up in your car. If there are any power outages, make sure anything outside is strapped down. Bring it inside so you don't have stuff blowing around. And if you are out driving today, especially if you're in a bigger truck, box truck, be careful with that wind blowing and the snow already on the ground before it melts. That can be blowing snow and rain, making conditions a little tough. Things are just fine as we take a look around the Rochester Metro at our map for sunrise traffic here in our Smart Start. Still nothing in terms of a list of accidents. Nothing we've had all morning long since 6 o'clock. We will check your morning commute again as traffic there on the west side you see is picking up early on ahead of sunrise when we see you at 7:25. Got you an update on the paramedic paramedic who was taken to the hospital after responding to the deadly crash in front of the Kodak Center in the morning on New Year's Day. Julie Purick is out of the hospital, recovering at home now. She was put on a ventilator for several days due to smoke inhalation from the scene. News 8 heard from Rock City EMS. The group says Purick and her partner are overwhelmed with all the support from this community and fellow first responders, adding their thoughts as they are healing continue to be with the heartbroken families of the 2 victims killed that morning. Let's take you inside the Buffalo huddle for this playoff week with Stefon Diggs in a bit of a slump. Gabe Davis has been inconsistent and now has an injury as well. Don't know if he's going to go Sunday. It doesn't hurt to have another option in the passing game for Buffalo. Enter Khalil Shakir for that. The second-year wideout had a huge second half of the season after only recording 40 total yards in his first 5 games. Finished the regular season campaign with more than 600 yards in total. Sunday night in Miami, the best of his career, catching all 6 passes for 105 yards. He has caught 86% of all the balls thrown his way this year. That is top amongst all receivers in the NFL. So he's gained a lot of trust from his quarterback and the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady.
You know exactly where he's going to be, and that accountability as a quarterback I can take my drop, I can get my eyes away, and I know when I come back to that read, boom, he's going to be there, and I can pull the trigger almost without even seeing, and just knowing he's going to be there. And for a quarterback, that is huge. He's so dependable. He makes great plays, and then put the ball in his hands. He does a great job with rack, as you saw last night when he caught that little bubble. And when you do everything the right way, good things usually happen. And that's him. He's embraced it. He's done such a great job of just continuing to evolve in his route running and his understanding of how kind of things play out here. And he has Josh Allen's trust, and that's huge.
News 8, your one-stop shop for Bills football all week long. First up Thursday at 7, a special 1-hour edition of Buffalo Kickoff Live. Don't miss that. And then Sunday morning, right around brunch time, we're here at 11:30, our usual spot, getting you ready for kickoff. And right after that, here on News 8, 1 o'clock, Steelers taking on the Bills.
Yes.
James, those tickets yesterday, we were talking, it was about $280, $300 to get in the upper level. Now it's down about $100. I think people looked at this 8-day forecast.
Checking out the forecast. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors. So it could be some lake effect snow around potentially, but I think the one thing we can secure is it's going to be cold and it's going to be windy as well. So in terms of playing the game, wind really has the biggest impact on gameplay. Did you see the Jets-Patriots game over the weekend?
Oh, my gosh. And that game meant nothing except for Bill Belichick, his last game in New England. And
yeah, right. I just couldn't stop talking about Bill Belichick. I know we should talk about the weather, but I switched over to that game because it was so fun to watch because of all the snow. For us, we don't really see much snow at all. Outside of a little bit this morning. The wind, that is the focus. We've got so much on our website. You want to know more, go there.
Yeah, and we will have updates on that, the latest track at 7:25. And when we see you here at noon, enjoy your day, everybody. Stay safe.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.